Professionally, Ira is a marketing and sales expert. He's also a photographer, graphic designer, website builder, philanthropy owner, search engine optimization content writer, and TEDx speaker. Ira has built a large social media following with six-figure following counts on both LinkedIn and Instagram. Ira Bowman holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Liberty University, where he graduated with a 3.916 GPA in interdisciplinary studies. His concentrations were in business and religion. This says a lot about who Ira is, as he has many interests and he strives to do things with excellence. Over his 25-year career to date, Ira has worked in the restaurant, e-commerce, print, and marketing industries, and the majority of Ira's career has been spent in a sales role in both the print and graphics industry, helping small and medium-sized businesses gain market share and increase sales. Since June of 2020, with the launch of Ira's business, Bowman Digital Media, Ira has focused on helping increase visibility for his clients on social media and increasing web traffic. The internet has become the main source of commerce, and visibility is important to increase sales. Ira Bowman has been married to his wife Alicia Bowman since June of 2000 and is the proud father of 8 children, with several of his kids now in college. The family is located right here in Southern California, just outside Los Angeles. We're grateful that Ira put on today's event, the SoCal Business Network Supercharger. Please help me in welcoming Ira back to the stage to discuss how to supercharge your social media efforts.
I have one of my kids taking pictures of me. This is weird. Hello everybody, my name is Ira Bowman. Thank you so much, Joel, for being the MC today. When I'm done, it's over, so we'll go quick. Earlier today, I gave a LinkedIn presentation specifically designed to help you supercharge or get more from LinkedIn. Today, in my topic, we're going to expand it a little bit because a lot of what I talked about with LinkedIn actually can work across platforms. But there are some differences. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can increase your visibility all across social media. How do you, as a business owner, or as an employee, or as a coach, whatever role you fill right now, how do you figure out what social media platform that you should even be on, or how do you allocate your time so that you're getting the most ROI for the time that you invest? That's where we're going to start. At the end of this, I'm going to take questions. Remember I said earlier you can save your questions and we'll take them. We're going to take them at the end. But first, I'm probably going to answer a lot of your questions, hopefully. Okay. So the very first thing that you want to understand about social media is that social media has more people on it than any other place on the planet. There is no more concentrated place on Earth than social media. I get a lot of people, when I tell them that I am in social media business for a living, that look at me like I'm goofing around. What I do somehow is not serious. And I'm like, you, my friend, don't understand the power of social media. And it's okay, I understand a lot of people have not been educated on this, but if this was 1950, and you were starting a business in 1950, what you probably would have done is look for a brick and mortar location that was alongside a busy thoroughfare, maybe a highway, a freeway, a busy main street. And if you couldn't find a physical location in one of those locations, you probably would have rented signage, billboards, and so forth, and tried to put them along those. Why? Because there was a lot of eyeballs that would see it. A busy street in the United States might see 20,000 to 40,000 cars on that street in a given day. A highway could be into the millions. But you were looking for traffic. That was the idea. The other place that a lot of people would concentrate in was the paper or the phone book. The same principles that drove those activities are why people should be on and paying attention to social media today. It's actually even more viable than those busy streets and those billboards because of the volumes. The most populated countries on the planet, India, I think there's 1.6 billion people. I'm not great at these numbers, so sometimes people say, well, India, there's more people. And they say, yeah, but there's no place in India that you can be and have all those people concentrated, right? It's spread out. It's hard to find. Social media is interesting, but let me tell you why right now is the time to be on social media more than it will be every day that passes by. It'll be a little bit more diluted. Do you remember back my childhood? I won't tell you what year I was born, but I was born in the 70s. How many TV stations were there? There was 3, right? And then there was 4, and then there was 12, and then there was 30. ESPN came out in the 80s. Loved it. Still love it, right? But then what happened? You had all the premium channels, and it was up into the hundreds, and satellite came out, it was 500s, and now, there's so many places that you can watch. What has happened to audiences, if you're paying attention in the media business, the traditional media space, is the audiences are smaller and smaller and smaller because they're diluted, they're spread out, and that is going to continue to happen. It's already happening. It's going to continue to happen in social media as well. Right now, in fact, I've already missed it a little bit, you have an opportunity to get the most concentrated people. Facebook was the king. Facebook is no longer the king. You want to know what the #1 used website in the world is today? TikTok. Somebody paid attention to me. I'm attendance. Okay. All right. TikTok. You guys think it's just for kids, and my kid back there is going, that's right, baby, we rule the world. She's 14. TikTok is not only the #1 app, social media, it's also the #1 website, and it has been for 2 years straight. It has more daily users than Google. Google has 50,000 searches per second. We'll come back to that in a second. Okay? But social media has so much volume, if you know what you're doing, you don't need to do anything else to advertise or market your business. Did you hear what I just said?
Say it again.
There are so many people, there are so many real people on social media concentrated right now that if you run a smart campaign, like Decoding Digital Media, you don't have to spend any money on marketing or advertising. Not on print media, not on traditional radio or TV, not on billboards. You don't have to wrap your vehicles. You don't have to pay for lead gen. All these people gonna be mad at me. But it's true. And guess what? You don't even have to hire me. If you know what you're doing, take the time to figure it out. You can do it yourself. This is ROI we're talking about, return on investment. And I'm not saying that everybody that's in the room or everybody that's watching, thank you for watching, you should do it yourself. But what I'm saying is if you get somebody to do it for you on your behalf, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just have to be smart about it. So the very first thing I want you to consider is who is your avatar or your target audience? Your prospects. Who are they? Demographics. This is basic marketing stuff that people somehow forget. Who are you going after? College folks, blue-collar folks. They lean left, they lean right, they can dunk on you. They're vertically challenged. Maybe they're balding. Maybe they got 8 kids. Maybe they're not married yet. The more you can pinpoint your demographics, the smarter, more intelligent we can be with advice on where you should be hanging out. But here's the other part of the demographics that people somehow miss. If you're going to surf on a wave, where do you want to be? Do you want to be in the back of the wave, on the top of the wave, or in the front of the wave? You want to be in the front, because in the front of the wave is where most of the momentum is. The thing that people miss with social media is you have to look at the trends that are coming, not what the also rants. There's too many people out there trying to copy Gary Vee or Simon Sinek or whoever your favorite Ira Bowman content creator might be, right? There's a lot of really good content creators out there, but the fact is that they have millions of followers doing their thing. You've probably missed the boat on that unless you can do something and figure out something to make it different that's forward-facing. For example, when Clubhouse came out, Clubhouse crushed it with audio only. Everybody will tell you, now look, I make videos and graphics for a living. We got another content creator in the room who does the same stuff. There's nothing wrong with graphics, it's attention grabbing, but you know what? They went a whole different way and they caught a whole different segment and it caught the world by a storm. And then what happened? YouTube tried to get in on it, Twitter tried to get on it, LinkedIn's trying to get in on it, and what happened is it's diluted the audience and now that wave has dispersed. It's no longer a viable product. It was the niche. So sometimes the waves ride for years, sometimes the waves ride for minutes. And you can make a huge splash with a cannonball, but you're probably not going to be an Olympic athlete with that, right? So you have to understand the tools, you have to understand the trends, and you have to understand marketing. Because at the end of the day, this is still marketing. This is digital marketing, but it's marketing. It's still people. It's behaviors. It's patterns. I talk to business owners every single day about their social media efforts, and almost none of them have any demographics at all. They come to me with nothing. I'm like, hello? Is everybody a potential client? Now, if you're selling toilet paper or toothpaste, t-shirts, clothing, consumable products, yeah, maybe. But most of us have a demographic. I have a demographic. Want to hear it? 30 to 50-year-old service-based business owners. Most of them are bootstrapping or they have 10 or less employees. Most of them make less than $1 million a year. Most of them are college educated but didn't finish. How do I know that? This is how you can know it. Go to your current clients and ask. It's not super complicated. That's all I did. I went to my current clients and I went through it and I said, okay, let me just get some demographic information. When you become friends with your clients, when you do a good job there, they'll open up to you. If you start with a prospect, hey, did you finish college? They'll probably be like, yeah, man, right? That's none of your business. But, after, Brad Smith's in the audience, he's one of my clients. Brad Smith and I will talk about everything. I mean, really, there's not much that's off limits. I can't think of anything that's off limits for us. Because we built a relationship over time, I can ask him, he can ask me, right? And he actually doesn't fit all of my demographics. I'm not going to tell you which one he doesn't fit. But he doesn't fit them all. But the fact is, when you get the demographics down, that's the foundational piece. You have to have it start there. Now let me help you figure out what to do with it once you get it. Because I know a lot of you are overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, marketing data, now what? You can get free data from Pew Research. You don't have to do marketing studies and interview 50,000 people or 5 million people or figure it out. You can look at trends, historical trends over time. And if you can't do that, call me and I'll help you figure it out, okay? But Pew Research puts out every year this data, like how do I know for sure that TikTok gets more views than Google? Well, you can do a Google search, which is kind of ironic. But Pew Research is how I know. How do I know the most popular social media website in the United States for adults 18 and over is YouTube, not TikTok, not Google, not Facebook, not LinkedIn, not Twitter, not Pinterest. How do I know that for a fact? Pew Research told me. I'm a marketing guy, I do social media for a living, but I don't need to waste. Look, I remember I started this with ROI. I'll need to waste a lot of time reinventing the wheel here, doing my own research. I utilize credible resources for my data, and I go with that. And then you also adjust on the fly based on your own findings. So, once you know who your demographics are, you can go to Pew Research or any other viable marketing data that you gain access to, and you can figure out where those people are. And now what I suggest is you start spending time there, or you hire somebody like Bowman Digital Media. This isn't a commercial, it's not supposed to be. But you can hire somebody to do it, whether that's somebody you bring on staff. Let me tell you a free way. Brad Smith was talking about spinning plates, and he was also talking about developing talent. There's lots of people out there who want to be in the marketing world, who don't have any experience, but would love to get some, and will work for free as an intern. And you can have them working on your social media in your marketing department, and they can get some experience. And then you can decide if you like the work ethic and you want to pay them, right? You can figure all that stuff out. So there's a variety of ways to do this. You can do it yourself, you have somebody on staff do it, you can get an intern to do it, you hire somebody to do it. Get somebody to do it. Because you will not find, like I said, a bigger concentration of human beings on the planet and on social media right now. What's number 2? Great question, thank you for asking. Search engines. Search engine optimization is so important because, as I said earlier, 50,000 people per second on average are searching, doing a Google search. That doesn't include Bing. That doesn't include YouTube. YouTube, by the way, the number 2 search engine in the world. Most people don't do that, right? So Google, the company that owns Google, frankly, has the number 1 and number 2 search engine on the planet. Crazy. Search engine optimization and social media are so important, and most people don't even acknowledge its importance in the economy. And it's because they just don't understand it. So what I do is so important, but most people look at me like I'm goofing around and I'm just having fun, which I am. I like what I do. Okay, so let's get to social media, some practical steps for you. The first thing is demographics. Know who you're going after. Second thing is figure out where they are. Third thing is get involved there. So what do I mean by get involved there? Let me clarify this. I don't care what your company does or if you are an individual person. If you're in business, trying to make money, trying to raise the eyeballs, right? You need an account on all these social media platforms. All of them. I don't care if you never go there. Don't care. I'm not even saying you should. Just go set up a free account and make sure your website address is there, right? Populate everything that you possibly can. Add some pictures, add some videos, add some keyword-rich descriptions. Why? Because they don't know you, and they may not have a demographic that matches your ideal avatar, but it could be a spouse, it could be somebody who's related, it could be a friend of somebody who says, hey, I'm looking for a plumber, and they're on Pinterest, which is not the ideal place to find a plumber, but they're searching for plumber, and they found you because you created a profile and you had a keyword-rich description about home services. Okay, you can do the same thing: Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, on and on and on and on. Okay, so they're free accounts. It's like pinning your flyer to the wall and hoping somebody sees it. You're giving yourself a chance. But when you figure out where the people are in concentration, like if it's LinkedIn, which a lot of you assume it's LinkedIn, and it's not usually the case, but you assume everybody that's in business is on LinkedIn. But wherever they do happen to be, by the way, if you want to know who is on LinkedIn, just to give you a little freebie, if they don't have a college degree, LinkedIn is not your number 1 source. I know. Blue collar folks don't really use LinkedIn. So if that's your main target, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest. Everybody forgets Pinterest. Like, why? Pinterest is awesome. Okay. I love of interest because of the backlinks. We'll get into backlinks on some other talks some other day. But find where your demographic, your avatar is, and then spend time. Like 80% of your overall social media time should be concentrated on the bucket that's the biggest for your avatar. So that's why, again, it all comes back to demographics, because if, let's say you were chasing blue-collar folks or people that were entrepreneurs that didn't have a college degree, and you're on LinkedIn looking for those folks, they're not there. You're wasting your time. Your ROI, right? I mean, it's real. A lot of people think that social media is a waste of time because they spend all this time doing stuff, trying to mimic people. They were behind the curve. They were behind the wave, surfing with yesterday's tactics on the wrong social media platform, and they didn't get anything, or they didn't get enough. They thought, well, it doesn't work. Well, it does work. You just didn't do your homework. You weren't doing the smartest things. Being prepared, educate yourself. Talk to other people. I love what Eric Levine said earlier in his speech from the first session this morning, or second session this morning. He was talking about, don't show me your the intellectual property, right? It isn't the academic. It's the person that actually did it. There's this thing in I run Project Help You Grow. If you're not familiar, Project Help You Grow is a nonprofit where we help job seekers connect with employers and recruiters from around the world. It's 100% free. It's my labor of love, and absolutely proud of the work there. But one of the things we teach people on Project Help You Grow is about this concept. It's called an informational interview. Informational interview is like a precursor to finding a mentor. What you do is you find somebody who's either done what you're looking for or who is doing currently what you would like to do, and you ask them questions. Usually you take them out for coffee or you take them to lunch or dinner or something like that, and you treat because they're paying you their information. And then if they like you, typically that leads to like a second date, but it's professional, so we call that mentorship. Okay? So find somebody who's done it. Like for example, I get reached out to by, okay, the Jacksons are in the room. Their son was working for me in an internship program, which I did have to cancel unfortunately, but why? Because he aspires to do some of the things that we do at Bowman Digital Media when he gets a little older. And so the idea was have him come up for me for the summer, and I'll give him some training, and he's going to trade me some labor. But the whole point was that he was going to work for somebody who's in the field doing the things that he aspires to do. It's very smart, right? So you can do that with these informational interviews. If you're not sure what to do in social media, you can talk to people who have gotten the results that you would like to get. And there's a variety of people. You can reach out to what we call influencers, or gurus, or people that you respect in the space. There's tons of content creators. We're a dime a dozen. There's a lot of us, and we all do things a little bit different, right? So you can talk to people about the results that you're trying to get on the platform that you're trying to get it to, by the way, because it's not always the same. The next thing that we're going to talk about is this thing. It's this mystical thing called the algorithm. An algorithm, when I say the word, in fact, I had trouble learning how to spell it. I got it down now. But algorithm was a hard word for me to even learn how to spell. I actually understood what it was far before I learned how to spell it without spell check. Just being honest. Algorithm is basically a series of rules, if you will, or equations, if you will. It's mathematical formulas that are put together to help determine how the results will stack up, or in the case of a feed, what is shown and what is not shown. In every platform, in fact, every search engine has an algorithm. On LinkedIn, the one that I get asked about the most, what's interesting, the way Microsoft does it, Microsoft owns LinkedIn, if you didn't know that. They have artificially intelligent, individual, personalized algorithms that actually can change by the second based on your performance and based on the performance of others. So it's learning and adjusting on the fly. So what worked on your last post might not work on your next post, which is why I try not to get too hung up on the exact rules, because people are looking for a static, like, just give me a checklist. Use this, don't use that, this time of day, that day of the week, how many friends to tag, these hashtags, blah, 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 blah. The answer, honestly, is nobody publishes their algorithm, and there's nobody you'll ever meet who's smart enough who can't understand it. It's too much. Even if it was published, there's just too much going on, right? So if you ever hear anybody say, I'm an algorithm expert at LinkedIn, I want you to laugh and then move about your day, because don't take them seriously. They're trying to sell you snake oil. I'll tell you this. I study the LinkedIn algorithm and the Instagram algorithm on a daily basis in a variety of ways. And I think I understand it as good as anybody that I've ever met anyways. And I will tell you that I have so much to learn, and at best I'm guessing. Now I have some hard and fast rules that I can share with you. Absolutely. You have to remember that all of these social media platforms, all of them are websites. And all of them have a domain authority ranking, the DA. If you take a little bit of time to understand how websites work and how domain authorities work, you can start to figure out how to build posts that will likely be algorithm friendly. And then you can add in some old-fashioned marketing techniques, what we call the A/B testing. If you do the two things in concert, you'll find that you get pretty good results. And then if you add a third component, which is some friends, and collaborate, you can get even farther faster. Right? You just got to get some people that you can trust to give you data, and sometimes you're going to give them data that gives them an advantage that they wouldn't have gotten as fast. But alternatively, they're going to give you sometimes that edge, and you're going to get to the front of the wave faster too. Okay? So, what are some of those? Here's a universal truth. As long as I've been in SEO, even longer than I knew what SEO was, site speed has always been an important factor, what I would call a pillar of domain authority. Why is that? Because site speed, in a world that's increasingly impatient and instant gratification, if you wait too long to load a video or load a page, they will leave. In our world, we call it a bounce rate. They bounce, and it's not good. So on social media, if you're trying to generate content that will be viral, everybody wants to be viral. What does that even mean? Anyways, you want to get a lot of views, you want to get hundreds of views or thousands of views or millions of views, whatever viral means to you. One of the things that you have to understand is if you put up information that is not as large, typically it's going to load faster. That's not always true. You have to understand the apparatus that you're using, the file type that you're using. You can show a video that was linked from YouTube and serve it up much faster on LinkedIn than a native video. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. Site speed, a link to YouTube or to Vimeo or something like that will serve faster than a native video. BowmanDigitalMedia.com